What was her main issue? What did she do to dehumanize her?
Well, I mean, one of the things that she pointed out was that Meghan was incredibly ugly when Harry wasn't around. But as soon as Harry was around, and another point they made was the mask slipped after about 6 weeks, that Meghan was like a fairy, like so happy and just full of joy and sweetness. But if Harry catches Meghan being nasty, he does step in and defend the staff, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
The fairy tale is officially over. What we're witnessing isn't just another royal scandal, it's the complete implosion of Harry and Meghan's carefully constructed empire. And the evidence is more damning than anyone imagined. While the world watched them play victim for years, behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding.
Kinsey, there seems to be trouble in paradise. The grifters, our favourite, Whinger and Ginger, Harry and Meghan, have reportedly cut household staff to try and save money.
I mean, labor is expensive, but I do have a source that is a proud member of the Sussex Survivors Club who told me she's still experiencing issues after leaving Meghan's employment. And the way she treated me, she says, of Meghan can only be described as dehumanizing. She also said, you only hear about the professional positions, but the household staff departures are much higher. It actually became quite comical because during a certain period, it felt like every week there was something new, someone new who left. So these numbers we've been reporting for years aren't accurate at all. The turnover is horrible.
One of staff fleeing in terror, finances spiraling out of control, and a toxic work environment that would make any corporate nightmare look like a vacation. The latest bombshell, 4 more employees just walked away from Team Sussex, bringing the total exodus to over 20 people since they abandoned their royal duties. But here's what makes this particularly explosive. These aren't just quiet resignations. Sources close to the situation are finally speaking out, and what they're revealing about life inside the Montecito mansion is absolutely shocking.
I need to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where this was headed.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
It was really hard. Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially.
The so-called Sussex Survivors Club has formed, and their stories paint a picture of psychological warfare disguised as progressive leadership. What's really happening behind those perfectly manicured hedges would make your skin crawl.
Meghan Markle is pushing back on allegations that she bullied royal staff members while living in the UK.
Former employees describe a workplace from hell, where staff were expected to be available 24/7 for the most trivial emergencies. One assistant was reportedly woken at 3 a.m. to fix a typo in a presentation. Another describes being screamed at over dust in a corner, while a third claims they were publicly humiliated for minor mistakes that any normal boss would handle privately. The pattern is undeniable. Meghan operates like a CEO without accountability, making every decision while refusing to hear pushback from anyone. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Multiple sources confirm that Meghan's personality completely shifts depending on who's in the room. Sweet and gracious when Harry's around, but ice-cold and hostile the moment he leaves. Staff members describe walking on eggshells, never knowing which version of their boss they'd encounter. Meanwhile, Harry, once the beloved rebel prince, has become an enabler, offering private apologies to traumatized employees while never confronting the source of the chaos. People lost faith in him because he chose peace over protection, watching his wife destroy people's mental health while doing nothing to stop it. The financial reality is even more brutal than the workplace horror stories. That stunning Montecito mansion comes with a price tag that would make most billionaires sweat. Nearly $15 million with a mortgage payment alone costing over $9 million. Add in the annual property taxes of almost $300,000 plus a $2 million security bill, and you're looking at expenses that would crush most A-list celebrities. Their Netflix deal, originally hyped as a $100 million goldmine, is reportedly worth closer to $20 million and about to expire. Spotify already cut them loose after their podcast failed to generate the promised content. Meanwhile, Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues to show the world what authentic royalty looks like. After battling cancer throughout 2024, she's returned to her duties with a grace that makes Meghan's constant reinventions look desperate by comparison. Her recent appearances have been masterclasses in royal elegance. No drama, no manufactured controversies, just quiet competence and natural charm. When she visited the Royal Marsden Hospital in January and announced her cancer was in remission, the public response was overwhelming. That's the difference between someone who serves and someone who performs. The contrast couldn't be more stark. While Catherine earns respect through decades of consistent service, Harry and Meghan are hemorrhaging credibility with each passing scandal. Their communication strategy, once sleek and professional, has completely fallen apart. The team that crafted those carefully curated social media posts? Gone. The press secretaries who managed their public image? Vanished. Even their digital strategy team has disappeared without replacement, leaving their online presence scattered and amateurish. It's like watching a ship slowly sink while the captain insists everything is fine. What's particularly damning is how the media landscape has shifted against them. Publications that once treated them with kid gloves, Vanity Fair, The Hollywood Reporter, are now publishing the kind of brutal exposés that Harry used to blame on British tabloids. When your former allies start printing stories about your toxic behavior, you know the narrative has permanently changed. Harry's desperate attempts to counter these stories with fluff pieces in US Weekly only highlight how far they've fallen. You can't fix institutional dysfunction with glossy PR. The most telling detail? Even Harry's beloved charity Sentebale is losing top executives, with 3 senior leaders recently stepping down. When a charity you co-founded 17 years ago can't retain leadership, it says everything about your current reputation. The whispers in Hollywood are getting louder too. Divorce lawyers being consulted, the mansion quietly listed behind the scenes, and marriage counselors who specialize in high-profile splits allegedly being contacted. None of this is confirmed, but when a marriage becomes a business partnership and the business is failing, the math becomes pretty simple. Here's the ultimate irony. Meghan and Harry thought they could have it all. Royal prestige without royal responsibility, celebrity status without celebrity scrutiny, and unlimited wealth without actually delivering results. They burned every bridge they crossed, alienated family members who could have been allies, and created a work environment so toxic that even their most loyal supporters eventually fled. Now, they're left with a crumbling empire, mounting legal fees, and a reputation that may never recover. The real tragedy isn't their fall from grace. It's all the good they could have accomplished if they'd chosen service over self-promotion. Instead of building something meaningful, they built a house of cards that's now collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. Catherine didn't need a Netflix deal or a podcast to prove her worth. She just showed up, did the work, and earned respect the old-fashioned way. That's the difference between authentic royalty and manufactured celebrity, and the world is finally seeing it clearly.